I'm here live on location for the CCI Professional Partners ToolTALK. So I'm here with Ryan Griffiths from CLG. Ryan, tell me a little bit about your company and the services that you provide.
Scale. Our company is a commercial lender. We're focused on providing funding solutions for condominium corporations across the country.
All right, what should a customer look for when trying to source a vendor within your line of work?
Sure. First thing I'd recommend is if you're looking to work with a lending partner, meet with them, right? You want to know what kind of expertise do they have, what kind of experience do they have, and meet with them to figure out what potential solutions they could recommend and what role they would play in that process for your corporation.
Okay, and do you notice any particular trends throughout the 4 different seasons or any tips you give your clients and try to plan for funding?
Yeah, I mean, most of what we're doing is major projects. A lot of it's seasonal in Canada. So you really want to get out ahead of it and start planning as soon as possible. So this time of year, we're in January. We're getting all sorts of calls from condo boards that are trying to figure out how they're going to do major projects this year. But I would say get out ahead of it as early as possible because so much of this work is seasonal and start talking as early as possible about your funding plan and looking at options as early as you can.
Okay, and what would you suggest a customer avoid when using your type of service?
I would avoid making any assumptions about what funding is right for the community without having any real numbers. I would avoid trying to do everything yourself and get a bylaw passed and call a lender after you've got everything figured out. I encourage you to avoid trying to do it yourself, right? And call somebody as early as possible, see what kind of help they can provide.
Okay, is there anything that customers might not think of related to your company's service?
They might think of a loan for a condo as a very transactional or economic transaction, and we're going to look around and just try to find the best interest rate. Interest rate's important, but I think the whole solution is important, and the value that someone can provide as a partner through that process can't be overlooked.
Okay, and are there any common mistakes customers make in your industry?
I think making assumptions about what's right for the community without doing some due diligence, without looking at the numbers, without talking to your reserve fund planner, embarking on major projects without looking at your reserve fund, without maybe updating your reserve fund when you should be because you're doing something major. So just taking a step back, doing your due diligence, making sure that you've looked at the whole picture.
So tell me a little bit more about your company and how you would help your client through the lending process.
Sure, thanks, Gail. So most corporations that are embarking on a major project, it starts with meeting with them. It starts with looking at their existing funding plan and then giving the board options and being able to say to them, look, you can do A, B, C, or D. These are the pros and cons of each one, and really helping the board and giving them the information they need to make that decision. If they think that a loan is part of the process, we do a lot of work to help them through that process. We give them materials for the owners. We make presentations at a town hall meeting. We really hold their hand and guide them the whole way. For a condo to borrow money in Ontario, you need to pass a bylaw. So that means getting majority support of your owners. So that whole process done properly requires a lot of education, requires a lot of time, requires written material, requires in-person meetings. All of that stuff, we see ourselves as a partner. We take a lot of the work off of the board, a lot of work off of the manager to really help guide them through that process, and it can make a huge difference in the outcome.
Great. Thank you, Ryan.